guilty, 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 guilty.
Hey, let's check in on the Democrats and find out what their positive message to bring Americans together and unify us as an e pluribus unum kind of family is again. Adam Schiff, he's a member of the House of Representatives running for the Senate in California. Let's see his positive, uplifting, unifying message for all Americans, shall we?
The party formerly of the moral majority is now, I suppose, hoping to fashion some kind of immoral majority to reinstate Donald Trump as president.
Well, that doesn't seem very positive, the immoral majority. Well, hold on. Let's check in. He had something else to say during that committee meeting. He wanted to reflect on the activities in the Manhattan courtroom last week involving Donald Trump. Take it away, Congressman Schiff.
Guilty, 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 guilty.
Ah, I feel more unified already. Alfredo, I guess this is what they've got.
I was just thinking, this could be turned into a great music video with Jay-Z. Somehow we could use that as kind of him doing his little thing there. Guilty,
Alfredo,
guilty, guilty.
Be honest. Did one of your colleagues say that he'll give you $20 each time you reference Jay-Z on the show today? Is that what's going on here?
I mean, come on. It doesn't get any better than that. You can see Jay-Z and Adam Schiff together. Music video.
I certainly could. But again, listen, we like to make fun of Adam Schiff, but Chris, I do worry about our country. I worry about our mood. It's something that I talk about a lot. This makes people even angrier on both sides. He's doing it on purpose. Yeah. He wants those of us who support Donald Trump to be pissed off, and he wants those people who hate Donald Trump to be pissed off. Bottom line is their political strategy is to have everybody pissed off at each other.
That's right. And, to call people that support Donald Trump immoral, I mean, it's a laugher, of course, because you could go down the laundry list. I mean, what happened to two naked gay guys banging one another in the Senate chambers? Nothing. What happened to the dime bag in the White House? Nothing. What happened to the people that are, looting and burning cities over George Floyd? Really, nothing. You could go down the list of all the immoral, depraved, grown men dressing as women, reading to children, genitally mutilating minor children, and calling it gender-affirming care. This is the most sadistic group of people on the American left that I think we've ever dealt with culturally. So to even suggest that those of us would vote for Donald Trump or the immoral majority is a laugh. But to your point, yes, when you start to suggest. When you start to suggest if you're in opposition to the Democrats, you are in fact a bad person. I mean, I don't know where you go from there. They're the party. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the bait and say they're the party that have tried to eradicate God from their party platform. I'm sorry. I'm not going to take lectures on morality from these people.
It is certainly a redefinition of morality. And Patrice, almost every single move that Democrats are making right now, messaging wise, is designed to focus on one group. I keep hearing it from them all the time: suburban moms. And one wonders if this is effective. I mean, there is something to be said about Donald Trump being unpopular with suburban moms and people who are not comfortable with some of his approaches that could be crass sometimes. He is a New Yorker, after all. But does this have the danger of actually being just as crass and just as offensive?
Well, I think here's the danger. The left has, for many years, and I think in a good way, really focused on how we treat people who have records. The ex-con label, frankly, has been redefined as a person with a criminal record or a person who's touched the criminal justice system. So the softening of this idea of, well, you know what, you've had a record, but that doesn't have to hold you back, I actually think is not bad messaging when you're not talking about serial rapists and murderers. It's interesting, though, that they're more than willing to re-embrace the ex-con scarlet letter because of President Trump. and attach it to him, hoping that that is going to be what turns a lot of suburban moms around. And these are women who, frankly, have maybe evolved and thought, you know what, I actually have a nephew who has a record. I know somebody who has a record and did something. Maybe it was pot, maybe they smoke pot, or whatever the case is. I actually don't think using that label of ex-con is going to turn them off as much as Democrats think. And obviously, we've seen from a fundraising and a voters, polling perspective, that it fires up President Trump's base. So, they can continue to slap the ex-con label on President Trump. That is not going to move these suburban moms.
Alfredo, this also, I think, maybe opens up a lane for Republicans. Speaker Johnson personifies kind of a really mild-mannered, happy-go-lucky kind of guy who is anything but offensive, I think, in most definitions of the term. And even Donald Trump now, considering how far they're going in trying to paint their political opponents as immoral and un-American, and they're painting with pretty broad brushes, it's a very negative message. Does Donald Trump have a lane here to actually run as the positive voice in this campaign, to actually sort of be the Ronald Reagan-like figure?
Oh, Larry, absolutely. Trump here can truly be, the unifier in chief, because pretty much what Biden has done, his entire administration, is just try to divide our country, from left to right, and, black, white, yellow, green. The one thing I think most Americans understand, that as Americans, we're more alike than we are different, right? And I think the Republican Party, first of all, overall understands that. I think Trump understands that, right? That's why he's going to Detroit. That's why he went up to the, upper New York, to visit the bodega store owner, right? He's reaching out to areas that traditionally, as a party, Republicans don't go out. And he shows that he can actually do that. He unites, whether he's with the construction workers or with these union workers. It doesn't really matter, right? He understands, I think, better than most presidents to date. And I do think he's kind of the Reagan of today.
Yeah,
he understands that.
They've gone so strident that they've really given Trump, of all people, a lane to sort of be the happy-go-lucky morning in America type. And Chris, you've been to his rallies. He actually does project. He's a funny guy, and he makes people feel good.
That is exactly right. And I may sound like a homer and I'm partisan or whatever, but I'll tell you, just as a guy who met the man just a few weeks ago for the first time, really, in person. I'd seen him and some other things in passing, but this was the first time that I'd actually gone back and shaken his hand to say hello. And he genuinely looks everyone in the eye. He loves people. He likes people. He wants to be around people. He gets a lot of happiness and pleasure from people. He recognizes people. He points people out for their accomplishments. He elevates people. He makes the White House, when he's occupying it, the people's house. He invites them in. Anybody that you've talked to that's gone to the White House will tell you, for instance, that they're always surprised when he busts in a meeting and goes, "Come on into the Oval." He is really the people's president. He genuinely is. And I think, interestingly, this week, when he was asked about Hunter Biden, keep a sharp eye on this, he could have gone for the jugular on that thing. And instead he said, "Oh boy, it's a sad thing," and really had pity and empathy for drug addiction and alcohol addiction in the family, kind of brought it home to his own brother, losing his brother to addiction. And I kind of wonder, some people have floated the idea that he could lower the boom in this coming debate with Biden and say, bygones, let's pardon Hunter and move on. I don't know that he does it. I don't even know that that's smart. I think it might tick some of his base off, but it is interesting. He seems to have really mellowed at a time he could be furious and should be furious. At a system that's been weaponized against him. He's still coming off as very charitable, which is interesting.
Patrice, back to these suburban moms. It would be great, I think, if the Republicans could figure out how to make this election choice in November. Who would you rather hang out with, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson, or Joe Biden and Adam Schiff? I think the GOP wins that.
Yeah, I mean, but how many women, frankly, know who Adam Schiff is other than a liar that used to be on CNN talking about the Russia hoax? If that's who you tuned into, then maybe you might know him. But I do think I like the idea of, who would you rather hang? Who would you rather, see, change this nation in a way that, things have gone off the rails? And who do you think can bring it back on? Well, the person who's in office, they claim that they were going to fix things and they've broken them even more. So are you willing to give the guy another shot, especially as you've seen? And I love Chris's point, because I've been noticing it too on other answers where President Trump is not being revengeful, where he's softening his tone and saying, hey, listen, I really, that's going to be devastating for the country. And so the more they hear that, and we got to get around the legacy media to get that message out, because obviously, CNN, NBC nightly news, they're not going to show President Trump's softening comments. So the upcoming debate is going to be a great opportunity for him to zag when they're expecting him to zig.
Well, that's why we're here too. That's why we bring new content in a new way through a new delivery system to the consumers. And based on the numbers so far, people are responding.